agree with the point of view that if we continually restrict the freedom of marriage as a legitimate social option, when we do this to people who are of ripe fertile age and may have a pregnancy and a baby involved, are we not in fact making abortion a much more desirable alternative when marriage might be the right solution for some freedom-loving couple?
Okay, so we need to make a few things clear. So that was New Hampshire Republican State Representative Jess Edwards. And he's talking there about marriage. And what you need to understand is that they're debating raising the marriage age, okay, to try to keep it in line with, civilization, I would say. And when he referred to ripe and fertile bodies, you probably heard people make noises of disgust. It's because he's talking about those kids. Those kids who, thanks to the many states in our union that still allow them to get married at a very young age, are ripe and fertile in his mind and should be getting married. Because if not, they might have sex, they might get pregnant, and then because they're not stuck in a marriage or whatever, they might have abortions. So there are certainly policy implications of this, and we'll get to those. But Trey, I think people should stop referring to humans as ripe. I think that that's not asking much. I think that we can still use the word. I'm not saying don't use the word, but use it for a good Bosc pear, or a nectarine or a plum. Maybe not a 13-year-old girl. What do you think?
Yeah, Lord, shoo-wee. He probably wanted to throw juicy in there too, but somebody made him take that out. I'm just saying, it's pretty brutal, pretty rough.
Hey, I'm glad you're here. Listen, in order for the Damage Report to keep on going, we need viewers like you to become a member on YouTube. Can you click the join button on YouTube today? Thank you.
I guarantee you this same guy, if you advocated for thorough sex education for teenagers, he would be opposed to it. You know what I mean? I'm assuming he's an abstinence only education type person. Don't teach teenagers about condoms or how anything really works. Just say you can't have sex until you're married. But he's still acknowledging that they'll get pregnant sometimes. And the only option should be to get married before God. He's it's either shotgun wedding or bust. And, so it seems it's an odd position he's taking. It's like he's acknowledging that type of thing does happen, but I know he's not going to take any reasonable efforts to do anything about it. Also, what unspoken right now, as far as what he's saying, is a lot of times it's not always two teenagers. You know what I mean? It's in a lot of positions, it's like an older dude, and a judge can allow them to get married or whatever. So that's not as criminal or sinful or whatnot, and that's pretty problematic too. So yeah, it seems to me it seems like a pretty sturdy limb to go out on that. I don't think teenage kids should be getting married and pregnant and stuff. It would be generally better for America if that happens less, I think, but not everyone feels that way, evidently.
No. And look, we can speculate as to why. I know some people like Sunday Girl on Twitter saying the FBI might want to grab this guy's hard drive. We'll pump the brakes. We don't necessarily know, but he's not related to Matt Gaetz or anything. But anyway, yeah. So look, this is New Hampshire. So the law that they have right now is not as bad as some of the Southern laws. So I'm a bit exaggerating perhaps with the age or whatever, but this is really one of the big cultural divides, I think, in our country is best case scenario. What does year 17 for a kid look like? I think, I don't want to speak for you. We think it should look like whatever they want it to. And they should have the opportunity to make it look like a variety of different things. If you want to start a family, maybe you start a family. If you want to go and work, you could do that. If you want to go to school, you should be able to do that. But a lot of these right wingers don't think that. They think, no, way more of you should just go start a family as early as possible, start working as early as possible, form yourself into a cog in the machine.
Right.
Don't aspire to more, don't dream of more. That's it. That should be all of it. And if that's what you want, then that's what you should have, I think. But they believe in limiting things more. And in terms of that divide too, they talk constantly about grooming. And then the second they get the opportunity, they start talking about how awesome these kids' bodies are and how ready they are for marriage and kids and all that. They're pundits as well as they're politicians. It's like they smoothly transition from, you can't let a bi second grade teacher be near these kids because that's inherently dangerous and also really ripe, you know what I'm saying? Maybe they should get hitched. And it's just gross how fast they make that transition.
Yeah, well, they're first ballot Hall of Fame projectionists. They're really good at projection, gaslight, obstruct, project, GOP. That's what they say. And I've always agreed with that. But yeah, everything you were saying about how they feel teenagers should be treated or whatnot, it's not really inconsistent with their overall philosophy, in my opinion, because one of their guiding principles is they want to take us back in time. They want to return us to the past. And that is how it used to mostly be, or at least in the, my grandma, my grandpa was only 19, but she was 16 when they got married, and my dad got pregnant with my dad, but she had been out of school and working since she was 11. You know what I mean? It used to be, they used to be how just the reality of things 100 years ago, 80, 70, 80 years ago, but things change, or at least they should change. But that's kind of their whole thing. They don't think things should change. They think that was the good old days. Things should be like they were back then. And teenagers entering the workforce and having children and all that stuff, that's part of how things used to be back then. So, it fits with their overarching platform as far as I'm concerned, which is awful.
And then the funny thing, of course, is that while they continue to try to craft the law in a way that will force that on regular people, the people on the right that they elevate to positions of power and influence in media and politics are people that did not take that path.
Right.
Lauren Boebert aside, they're the Ted Cruzes and they're the Wall Street billionaires and stuff like that. So it's good for the rubes. They should do it. No, meanwhile, we're not going to do that. Hell no. Now, the law did thankfully pass despite the objections of Jess Edwards that you saw, and goes to the governor, who I have to imagine will sign it. But anyway, before we move on, we just want to show you a current map of states that have banned child marriage as of June 2023. And so child marriage is legal in only 12 out of 50 states at this point. Illegal in only 12 out of 50 states. And obviously the definition of child is going to vary state to state. As I said, New Hampshire is not as extreme as some of the southern states, so bear that in mind. But it is
also California, John. I'd be remiss not to say. I read that California. Yeah. California is one of 4 states that does not have a defined age, which makes it, theoretically limitless. So anyway, I'm just saying, the South and also California.
If we eventually get to debate it, we will see who will step up and drop the first ripe reference. When you click the join button and become a tier 2 member, you get access to all of our weekly top 10 lists. What are you waiting for?